There's too much to cover.
There's too much. It's gonna suck.
It's gonna suck. Okay, here we go. Hi there, I'm Rafael Rivera.
And surprise, bitches. Bet you thought you'd seen the last of me. I'm Nick Snow.
It's real. It's not cut out. I thought you'd appreciate that.
Yeah. I've returned from my personal hell. Thanks. Raphael was able to rescue me, so I'm back.
So we're here to talk about American Horror Story Apocalypse, Episode 9, Fire and Rain. It sounds like isn't that an Adele song?
Something about set fire to the rain.
Oh, that's a different kind of
yeah.
rain. All right.
But that's actual rain.
Yes, not like rain.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So,
Close though, close.
So, Nick, I have to admit, you were absolutely right. They're really going to shove a lot of shit at the last episode because this entire season has been all flashbacks with the exception of the first 3 episodes.
Right.
So
they've sprinkled in maybe a little bit of present time here and there.
No, not really.
Not really? Not at all?
No. The last present time was when the witches showed up to that cool Rolling Stone song, and they revived Mallory and Coco and Madison said surprise bitches.
Yeah.
Everything's been flashbacks. And it was like flashback, little forward.
Maybe that's what's
flashback.
throwing me is there's flashbacks and there's flashbacks.
Yes.
So maybe I think they're tricking me sometimes where I'm like, maybe this is present, but it never actually is the present.
No, it wasn't. Yeah.
But like I just told you before we started recording, I'm not going to be too negative because this has been a really good season overall.
It really has been.
And I don't just want to throw it away because
I have some faith.
Right.
And I see small little plot holes here and there.
Right.
But we'll get to them once we get to that topic as we start our journey into fire.
So if you see me fading out for a second here or there, it's because I'm trying to suppress all of my frustrations and just talk about the good for the most part.
So let's start. Speaking of frustrations, what about our friends with the coffee tantrum at the sex robotics clinic?
Sex robotics. I forgot about that scene to open.
Yes. Okay, so I think which was very interesting. It starts off where there's a gun pointed at him and it's click, click, blanks.
Right.
And that's kind of like a thing about, to me, it reminded me of Miss Meade holding the gun and was going to shoot Langdon and then had to go shoot Venable.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. It was
totally.
like a little payback, a little throwback to that. But he's upset in a foul, pissy mood. Apparently he's got road rage because he was upset and telling his other friend, Dumb or the Dumber, I can never remember the two's names.
I feel like, what's Evan Peters' name, Mutt?
Mutt.
I feel like Mutt has to be the dumber. Like, come on. Your name's Mutt.
Okay. You're
I
right.
mean,
and that's Evan Peters, right? He's
right.
Mutt. Yeah, that fits.
Yeah.
It fits.
He definitely is the dumber.
There used to be a cartoon on the Cartoon Network that I really liked back in the 90s, late 90s. It was called Two Stupid Dogs.
I feel like I'm seeing like vague
I'm going to
images
send you a
of
link.
that. Yeah,
because they were really stupid, and these two kind of remind me of them.
Yeah.
But he's got road rage. He was bitching about that someone didn't make a left turn, and he doesn't need a left turn signal or an arrow to go left. The light's green.
He's like, you can pull out into the intersection.
Yeah.
You don't have to just sit there.
I admit I get like that too. I get upset. I like to tap the horn, but then
Guys, we're in Florida.
Yeah,
we're known for notoriously bad drivers around here. So
it's the tourist,
relatable,
lollygagging,
relatable,
starstruck, looking at billboards. but then he gets bitchy about his Starbucks coffee, that it tastes like dirty ass. First of all, my first question is, Mr. Mutt, what does dirty ass taste like? And second, what the hell are you doing at Starbucks? Because Starbucks sucks. I'm sorry, I'm not a Starbucks fan.
You would think they would have like their own like little like trendy like free trade coffee house that they go to.
Yes, exactly. Like roasted from India, or like African roast or something like that. I'm the snob. I like my Cuban roast coffee, espresso straight. So The Starbucks doesn't put a dent in me when it comes to my need for caffeine. For me, it's like sugar. That's all it is.
Just straight sugar.
A glam sugar, like, oh,
Which
and
I don't
branding.
like. Yeah, which I don't like coffee, so that's perfect for me.
Oh my God. So yeah, they're pissed off about that, but then, what really surfaces is the topic that Mutt is really pissed off at Langdon, and he seems to be clueless in his direction, and he's a little bit...
Right, so they've been probably not so patiently waiting for to be able to kick off the apocalypse.
Yeah.
The Antichrist is here, and they are, as we said, frustrated because they're like, the Antichrist is here, that's great, but he doesn't have a single clue what to do.
Right.
So what good is he? They're like, why were we waiting for this? We were excited, and this is what we get?
Yeah, yes. And that's pretty funny. I don't know. I just think it's obviously with that scene was very important to have that scene there because it kind of shows that they're pivotal in really pushing the apocalypse. They're really pulling the strings, especially as we go a little further into the episode. But I thought what was pretty crazy was that they're responding to, they're watching Michael through Meade. Obviously, this is the thing. This is how they start pulling the string. They're like doing a little spy cam.
Right.
They start making these little comments.
Right.
I know I'm jumping forward a little bit, but I thought it was pretty interesting how Langdon starts suggesting to Meade in their plot, well, maybe I'll run for president, or I can start as a White House
This was my favorite scene.
or something
This
like
was my
that.
favorite scene.
And then she says, "What the hell? Have you been watching The Omen 3?"
Like, Michael, this sounds like the plot for Omen 3.
And I'm like,
Like, do you really have to run for president for this to kick off? And there's been so many actual hardcore I don't know what word I'm trying to use, references to the Omen that were legitimate references, the Damien, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So to throw in kind of one based on a joke, I thought was kind of a different twist.
They just went straight for there. They went straight for there. It made me laugh too.
Yeah.
and then she suggested for them for them to go back to Dumb and Dumber to get some guidance, and he was like, "Those they seem like a couple of cokeheads or cokehead nerds is what he called them," and she was like, "No, they're handsome."
Right. Yeah, they know what they're doing, and they're handsome. By the way, Dumb and Dumber in the Silicon Valley would be a successful spin-off, I feel like, but
it would be.
I mean, can you not see that on FX?
Oh my God, no! They had some really good one-liners. I actually find their personalities engaging.
Right.
I thought so, and their relationship with me.
Right. I don't know about how many seasons it could last, but for at least a solid 2 seasons, that would probably flourish.
What do you guys think? I would love to hear some opinions. As you should. What's the other guy's name? Mutt and something.
I think it's something normal, like Jeff. It's very boring.
It's very boring, but someone said that it was a paying homage to another story from the 70s, and I have to do some research on that. But they definitely would be a good spin-off on their own, like a Laverne and Shirley today. It's fantastic. I enjoy watching that. All right, so they go through that thing, and then I did this just for you. We go back to the comment.
Yeah.
So Mallory's trying to make her own Kentucky Fried Chicken with a little cockatiel, and it's not working. What happened? She was able to bring back Cheyenne, right? Henry was his name?
Right. So the deer was so effortless.
Yeah.
Cheyenne was so effortless.
The tracheotomy on Coco.
Oh my! And she just
Ziploc.
So
yeah.
What? I don't know. What are your thoughts with that? Why is she?
Don't know. She's stunted. Maybe it's because. Could it be that it's almost like her powers are constipated? There's some blockage there, and it needs to just really burst out. Because remember when she was being interviewed, she says, "I feel like I'm Dark Phoenix inside, ready to blow out."
Right.
So maybe it's kind of like a hiccup in the process before there's an explosion of power.
Right.
Who knows?
So obviously this has Cordelia thinking, well, should I just kill myself now? Because her powers can't be at the top when I'm still living. And they're like, no, that's not necessarily the answer.
No.
I don't know. I think she kind of...
I don't think Mallory's meant to be the Supreme.
Right. I also don't think that. But I think we're kind of running down this path of her as the Supreme until it's proved otherwise. Maybe she's just kind of feeling the pressure a little bit, and she's, she's like, I didn't necessarily want.
This is not what I signed up for.
Yeah, like I wanted to harness my powers and help all the ways I could, but trying to save the world wasn't necessarily
no,
in
for
my
sure.
plans.
Yeah, no, yeah. Yes, she's cock blocking herself out of fear and doubt. Yeah, for
Right.
sure. Yeah.
She's like, oh,
All
like
that pressure.
I'm strong, but can I really go against the Antichrist and win? Like, is that what I'm gonna do?
That's a tough battle.
Right.
It's a David and Goliath metaphor right there.
That's a great season of Survivor right now, by the way.
Oh.
Side note: David versus Goliath. Yes.
Oh, good to know that. We're gonna have to start checking that out. So yeah, and Myrtle and Cordelia come in like, you're trying too hard. Relax. Like, what do you mean relax? And just as that happens, just as all that dialogue is happening, we get Dinah downstairs on the porch because Cordelia says, we'll be fine. I placed a protection spell over Robo. She called it the Aurora Shield. Girl, it might as well have been a panty shield because it did not do shit.
It took Dinah like maybe 6 seconds before she was like,
She put her little powder down there, did her little dance, and cocked her head back, and she broke the spell, and nobody noticed. That's the funny thing, because I thought I heard a loud bang. It was like, I think she used like some sulfur powder, and nobody noticed. Zoe and Queenie were in the dining room with the novices, which isn't going over a one-pager. Our culture here, I can't talk about.
Oh my
work,
God! Stop it.
Triggered
with the one-pager.
A lot of corporate cultures rely on one-pagers. So I kind of chuckled when they were handing out this.
Hashtag triggered.
This is what we do. We'll put a bunch of rusty nails and with some turquoise beads, and it was like a little beading workshop, like a making necklaces.
Yeah, I'm not real sure what the end result was supposed to be there, but as we saw, they didn't get there anyway.
Oh no, I just thought it was too easy. That's what frustrated me.
Yeah.
It was too easy for them to break through the panty shield and go through the front door, and there was that great confrontation. They, Langdon and Miss Meade walked in like badasses and confronted them, but props to Bubbles, Joan Crawford. I really have enjoyed her as an actress in this season, and she pretty much says, "Oh, yeah, of course we've been expecting you. Fuck you." She takes her martini. I don't know what martini that was. It was like not so clear, like a Zambuca. But anyways, I'm digging too deep. But I really enjoyed her. And Zoe tried to do an attack, and Michael just waved, and all these pieces of metal that they were trying to work on in their workshop just went through everyone.
Yeah.
And Miss Meade revealed her robo arm.
Just ripped that arm right off. And
I did not see that coming.
I didn't either.
I thought it was going to be a handgun. No, it's like,
right?
Where is Sarah Gonok?
Right. Yeah. Looks kind of Terminator.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my God. And then, so here's what I was going to get about a plot hole. Queenie does her thing and slits her throat. And because she was like, fucking Miss Meade, how are you? What are you doing here? And she slits her throat, and all this Jello pudding pop stuff comes out of her neck. It was pretty gross.
Right.
And this is the thing I was talking about. You think when she got her throat slit, she would have had a little freak out like she did in the very second or third episode when Billy in the bunker shot at her and no one knew what she was.
Right.
And she kind of like, I'm a fucking robot. Like, who knew? Well, I thought she would know in the past because we're still in the past. So, and Dumb and Dumber did say that she would probably freak out if she knew she was a robot.
Right.
So I don't know what happened. Maybe Langdon sealed her up right away with his powers.
Maybe. Yeah. See, I didn't think about that so much in the moment because there was so much happening.
A lot happened, but I thought it in hindsight.
Right.
I was like, wait a minute.
No, you're right. The only thing that I did think of was that maybe there's some kind of like mind, like they kind of just like, I don't know what the like, I say like Men in Blacked her basically, like wiped her memory.
Delete those cookies.
Right. So basically, yeah.
Delete those cookies. That slitting of the throat didn't happen.
Right. So maybe she had a freak out like after the fact.
And maybe they did do it remotely, like they remoted because they've been remoting it. So you're right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was kind of.
Okay.
I mean, it probably is a little bit of a plot hole, but I think there's a way where you could say like, oh, this happened, and it holds up, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, so that was a pretty fast scene. It happened
Yes.
so quickly, and it was
Yes.
so intense. It's like the intensity, we were back at that level that we've enjoyed this whole season, with the exception of last week's episode, Sojourn. You know what? I thought about Sojourn. I don't mean to go backwards again, but you know who would have been a better preacher at the Satanic temple besides
Oh
Sandra
my
Bernhardt?
God.
It should have been the actress Pepper from the Murder House.
That would have been.
She would have been.
Yo,
brilliant.
so I wasn't here to talk about that, and let's just say it's probably for the best.
Yeah. Your
Because
cutout.
again, I'm not trying to be negative, so.
Your cutout had nothing to say about that
Mm.
episode.
I would have lots to say. I just didn't make the final edit.
So with all that attack, you know, and the screaming, you know, Zoe gets a bullet to the head. I was so sad. That was
That I did not see.
no.
I did not think
She's such a powerful witch. I mean, apparently she was, from her very first appearance on the Coven, she had powers that kind of resembled what had been a direct descendant of Scathage, Lady Gaga's character, when she knocked out those zombies from Marie Laveau and the attack on the house. And she got knocked down, Marie Laveau. She goes, "Oh, they got some real power up in there." So I always thought that Zoe was a very powerful witch, which I thought that maybe was a desperate attempt of her to like send those shards at him. I kind of sense she's always been more powerful than just that, but maybe it's just a quick reaction from fear and shock. They were taken by surprise.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
But I was so sad to see her go down that quickly, because she's always been a pretty underestimated but powerful witch. So it was very sad. So with that, Langdon makes his way up Dinah comes in and says, "Are we good?" And he said, "Yes, you're good for another 13 episodes." I'm like, "Girl, you have no idea. You'd be lucky if you have a TV show after this."
Hey, I mean, it's a rough life in Hollywood, I imagine.
What a
too.
sellout.
You
That's
you gotta secure that next season, that next paycheck, however you can.
Sellout. I feel bad. And she had that look of regret on her face as she looked at all the dead witches, and I'm sure there's going to be some remorse to follow for her. We'll see.
Yeah, we can talk about that at the end.
Okay,
yeah.
sure. So Myrtle and Mallory and Cordelia take off, and I guess Madison joined up with them, but now they're in the shack that belongs to Misty somewhere in the swamp, and.
Who's living her best life out with Stevie Nicks, so she can't be bothered with an impending apocalypse.
Busy entertaining Stevie. So, anyways, Cordelia has a little bit of an episode where she astral projects herself back to the school amongst all the dead bodies, and she realizes she cannot bring them back. She tries to bring them back, and then Madison was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we did notice something hammered around because that Michael has this ability to, as we saw with the two lesbians that moved in Murder House when he was a kid, that he can burn their souls afterwards. So total obliteration. And so this is the first time I see Cordelia act like, well, the second time act like Fiona. She just bitch slapped her. How did you forget to tell me this detail?
Like, okay, a lot happened at Murder House, but that one's kind of important to bring back home.
That's an important one to bring back home on the assignment.
That one you need to share with the group.
Take the notes. Use a Sharpie in the hand.
Right.
I felt bad, but Myrtle, steps in and goes, now's not the time to turn on against each other. We need to focus, and this is where what really kind of found disturbing is like, oh well. I guess our only hope. Oh, Coco's there too. That's right. They were all sitting on the couch. Yeah.
Right. So Coco and Madison, I believe, were the two who at least weren't shown to be at the house at the time of the attack. So we don't know if they were there or they weren't there.
They probably were not there. I would imagine.
Yeah.
You know what? I still have these theories. Sometimes they just have these other assignments on the side that we don't know about. Just like, Misty Day, she's not really gallivanting. I think she's got a project that she's doing. That's how I see it. Sarah Paulson's characters in all of these anthologies always have a
There's always more.
a big twist.
There's always more. For
So
sure.
my theory. Okay, we'll get to that later. But my theory is Misty's got another job to do. But anyways, yes, they're all there. Myrtle grabs out the big spell book from Hocus Pocus all of a sudden because it happens to be in Misty's house, and she
just ever so casually lays out this plan.
this plan that you could possibly die. And I tried to write it down here. I can't remember what the name of it's called. I can't something impetum. I can't remember the name of this spell.
Yeah.
Impus. It sounded like impus infinitum or something to that effect. And I don't know. It's Latin for time travel, I guess.
Right.
And they mentioned to Mallory, "You're the one that's strong enough. I've seen you do it, like bringing back deers to their youth, and you possibly have the power to travel in time, and maybe you can alter something to prevent Michael from getting to where he is now."
But it's also pointed out that it's never successfully been done before.
Oh, yes.
It's been tried, but what happened? Oh yeah, they all died.
They all died, so there's no documentation of any successes,
Right.
Because they've all died.
But hey,
So,
this is what you're meant to do. So
yes.
here you go in the tub, sweetie.
Get into the bathtub and hold your breath. Oh, and this is just gonna be a test. We don't want anything
A little dry
immediate.
run
A
here.
little dry run. So let's go a few hundred, maybe 200 years back?
Let's throw you into like what?
No, not
like
100 years back. It was just a
100
years back.
Yeah.
Right? 1818 was it? The Romanov?
Yeah, the Romanov. Yeah.
So I wrote it down. I wrote 1918. It's 1818, I believe. The Romanov Empire. Oh no, it was 1918.
Yeah, I think that's
It
right.
was turn of the century. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were Victorian. Yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
right. Yes, 1918, the Romanovs, and they flash back to this scene as they're talking about it. When the Romanovs were taken to the basement to get murdered by their soldiers, and
Right.
Anastasia's in the backdrop
Mhm.
on the floor hanging onto this pendant around her neck, and created this smog of a shield to shield the bullets. So they sent Mallory back there as a test to see if they can send her back there, and she did. She did go back there.
She did. It did not go well.
No.
She tried her best.
She did try her
but
best. It was pretty nerve-wracking watching that.
it was because you're like,
Is it gonna
okay,
happen? And what?
everyone who's tried this has died. So you're like, is this
a way to write off Mallory after all this?
Oh God.
She came back screaming as she was fading. She was unsuccessful. They were partially successful, but when the first gunshot was fired, it jarred and startled Anastasia, which broke the spell.
Yeah.
And Mallory's trying to get her to focus on it, but it broke the spell, and the soldiers came charging through the veil, and they actually went right through Mallory and killed Anastasia, and she flipped out, and she came out of the bathtub, and she had blood in her eyes.
Right. Yeah.
Very stigmata. It's very stigmata. That's another biblical reference. Just saying.
I can't imagine Mallory being too excited to give this a second try after that.
No.
Like, I know they're going to be like, well, this is pretty much all we got left. And she's going to be like, I don't know. Like, are we sure? We've exhausted all other options.
She can't even get the cockatiel back.
I know. Well, that's the thing. So she's already kind of doubting
Stunted.
herself.
Yeah.
And then you make her do this thing that no witch in the history of the world has ever done before that they know of. So it's like,
They're clearly in a position of desperation.
Right.
And they're trying to do what they can, and they're grasping at straws. And, Myrtle and Cordelia sit on the porch and talk about it. Well, she wasn't vaping. They're talking about it. They're like, well, she's got the capability, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Let's consult the warlocks. And I'm like, really? After all that shit and calling them impotent men, they're going to consult the warlocks now?
Yeah.
And they even slammed them as they go back into the bunker. They made some kind of comment like, ugh, don't remind me we're here, or something to that effect. And
so I had a little bit of an issue with this because I feel like they just think the warlocks are so beneath them.
Yes.
Like, do they really think they can help them in any way? Like, I mean, like you said, they're definitely in a desperate time.
Yes.
But I just was like, would they really think this is beneficial?
I thought there was me thinking, I don't know. I've never read The Art of War. I've never been one really good at strategio. Battleship,
Right.
yes.
I mean,
but
numbers are numbers.
that would not be a good move.
No.
I thought they would expose themselves, knowing that they were aligned with Langdon at one point, even though they, intercepted and killed Ariel and whatever his name was, Polly Prissy Pants, I can't remember his name, but even though they intercepted and removed them from that coven, and I just thought that was a dumb move. Like, you would expose yourself,
right?
And this is war, and what you need to do is close ranks. But leaving your place of hiding and going to the lion's den was not a smart move. That's how I see it.
Well, so I struggled with that as well.
But yes, and the fact that they felt they were in fear. Why would they? What help would they provide them now? If they know all the history that they stole their witch's potion from, the Salem's time, and they know.
Because every time the warlocks thought they were a step ahead, the witch was just like, just kidding, we're 5 steps ahead of you.
Centuries.
But it kind of turned out to be a moot point because Michael got there first and literally ripped them to pieces.
Literally, he put his mark, the dark mark, on there. That was sad to see that pentagram there. I was like, ooh, behold and shining armor. Girl, bye. The House of Warblers are gone.
Man, that was...
So, hence the beginning of making that into the first outpost, or one of many outposts. So, that was not a good move on their part. They got the shock of their lives. So then
honestly, I think that probably turned out the best it possibly could have.
I didn't.
Which is not saying much.
It's not saying much, but I didn't see a good fate for them because they were not very strong. They didn't seem very wise in how they kept themselves isolated from the rest of society. At least the witches, granted, they were more powerful, but they mixed with society. They were, I think what happens, it's kind of like what happens to cats when you declaw them. I'll get you.
All right, we'll move on.
Yes, we'll move on. So going back to the Sex Robotics Inc. with Dumb and Dumber, Venable is just she's just done.
She is. She's had it.
She's packing her purple MacBook and she goes, I'm going to get my notice because I don't, what the heck's going on here? I want a part of this. And they're like, just order our escorts, Cricket and Foxy or whatever their names were. And she's pretty much like, screw you, if it has anything to do with, it has nothing to do with your scoliosis,
Okay, what is that about? Are we going to find out? Or is that just like some random...
I don't know what that's about.
Because it was a big thing when
Langdon revealed
started, to kind of undress her and kind of trace the line down that crooked spine, and I feel like there's something there, but it also seems like there's nothing there. So that
I think it's just a character, part of her character, because she's dead now. It doesn't matter when Meade shot her. So
true.
I think it was just a way to kind of explain how she was involved with the whole outpost, because she was the pivotal character at the beginning.
That's true. That's true.
But what found disturbing was I helped you build this company. I was here at the very beginning, when you guys were operating on the back of a van. I'm like, what kind of van are you doing in this van? But yeah, she goes to resign, and they're like, okay, don't leave us. Well, you can't leave us because this is what's going to happen. And they kind of revealed to her that the whole co-op is really another rebranding for the Illuminati.
Right.
Which I thought that was crazy.
Which has some great members in this world.
That's no.
One of the Clintons.
Mm-hmm. No.
Which Clinton was it?
Oh, right, not Hillary.
Not Hillary.
So I guess they convinced her to stay. Says you'll have control over one of these outposts.
Well, they obviously had worked with her long enough to know if you dangle just a little bit of power in front of her, she's going to snatch that right up. She was like, oh, I get to run a whole outpost any way I like.
Exactly.
I'm in. I'll stay.
So she's the one that's responsible for making all those poor people wear those horrible, horrible lavender Victorian outfits. Which I kind of found disturbing because I thought she liked more, a lot more modern. She made more Victorian outfits. Okay, anyways.
Yeah.
But in between that, Langdon does show up with back to talk to them, and that's when they reveal this list of 100 men, and this is what you need to do. You don't need to use magic. They said math is more powerful than magic, which I thought was a very interesting statement. And you just need to push the right people. They've already signed up for the deal. These are the most powerful people. 3 of them alone is all it takes to trigger these chain of events that you need to start the apocalypse. And don't you know, they open up, don't you know it's in the good book, and they open up the Bible in front of him, and he doesn't touch it. You notice that?
Right.
He just kind of mentally just flips to the book and looks at it, and he goes, okay, when's showtime?
Yeah, it's in there.
It's in, yeah, there it is. There's my description.
It's supposed to happen.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let's meet this cooperative, and I thought that was very interesting. They go down to what looked like Napa Valley. It was so bizarre. Where the hell was this place? It looked like Napa Valley. They were walking around arm in arm like a bunch of Europeans and black leather, and they're like looking around at all these flannel. How sad. That's so funny.
It was a strange scene. It was oddly placed. It just was like
bizarre.
Yeah,
it's almost like I want to say some of this is still. I still think some of this is filmed in Vancouver because it reminded me of the Pacific Northwest, and I was just like, where the hell are they? And all of a sudden, there's all these people walking around like they're tourists, and they're just jolly. It's like a Land's End commercial. It was very bizarre.
What a reference.
I'm dating myself. Good quality.
Good quality.
So they go down into this bunker, and they go down to this underground bunker with the co-op, and that's when he greets them with, and pretty much says, the Antichrist, hello. My name is Michael, I'm the Antichrist, and this is what's going to go down. And they start murmuring against, amongst themselves.
Right.
And then he just kind of did like this little fist or something. They all their heads turned.
Weren't they all wearing masks? Or
yes.
Okay. I'm watching a lot of shows right now, so I wanted to make sure I'm not.
You're right. They were all in black, and they had this like chrome mask.
Yes.
And I don't know what that was from or what the creative director did in that scene, but I guess for privacy, they wanted to have that.
Don't want to like.
But if they all know each other's name on that list, why do that? I just thought it was very weird.
And I like how he started to point out like, and you've got this thing underground that's perfect, and you've got this thing.
Yes,
and we can use
you just bought an island in Bora Bora.
Right.
And you have this underground bunker in Texas. Hint, hint, bush.
Yeah, you caught that.
I caught that. I was like, Texas, oil, bush, bunker.
For sure.
It could have been either Dick Cheney, which he's kind of irrelevant now, or the Bush is. So I thought it was very interesting. Because he was notorious for building bunkers. I think Dick Cheney.
So, yeah, I like that. He was just like, we've got all these places set, we're ready to go.
And open to page 6. Here's your dossier. This is how it's going to go down. Right. And that was a very interesting episode. Again, they pushed a lot in there. It was only an hour. It wasn't a big episode.
It felt like it ended very abruptly.
Yes.
And especially with just one episode left.
Yeah. So what's going to happen? This is what's going to happen. The apocalypse has to commence. Mallory and Coco have to be put under the protection spell to forget, so they can be planted to be in one of those outposts. So somehow they're going to figure out the outpost plan.
Right. So one of my questions, which I feel like the answer is no, but do you think we'll see other outposts? Or I just don't. We don't. Okay, I know we don't have time, but do you think?
There isn't time. There has to be. If all of these rich people are involved, there has to be multiple outposts created. There has to be. Because our first theory was that there isn't, that this was just a ruse.
But it seems like there definitely, I feel like we have confirmed that there definitely are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that scene we just talked about.
And they were each $100 million for one entry? Is that what it was?
I think
price?
Yeah.
$100 million.
Some number that makes no sense.
It
will never make any sense to me.
Like, no, it didn't. I think they're just throwing it together. And I'm a little persnickety for details and continuity. When I'm watching, when he told them to turn to page 6, the way they just scramble to slap open the pages, like, oh, that doesn't seem like leaders of the world. I thought they'd be a little bit more controlled. Not like, oh, goddamn spelling bee. I hate this class. It was so weird. They just got a bunch of extras that were getting paid $50 for the day to sit at that table. But anyways, I don't know. I don't know what happens, but obviously somehow Coco's dad, with all his money, has bought some spots, because that's how she gets into the outpost. Right. And so does Joan Collins' first character, the lady that was married to the mogul, the MGM mogul.
Oh yeah, it was
with the hairdresser.
Right.
Oh no, wait, the hairdresser brought her along.
Right.
Never mind. It was all Coco's connection.
Yes.
So, which leaves us Billy and Emily. a lot of people online and social media have been bringing up the question: how did Billy? We know how Billy got into that. How did the people qualify? He was confiscated. He didn't pay to get into the outpost.
Oh, the kid that was getting it eat.
Yeah.
What was his name? Was it
Billy.
Timmy?
Oh, Timmy. Sorry. Why did I think it was Billy?
See, now I think you're talking about Billy Lord. I'm like, wait a
shit,
minute.
I'm sorry.
She was the servant with the hair. Like, come on now.
That was very Dr. Seuss. Very Seuss. But Timmy, sorry.
It's a theme.
Timmy and
We
Emily.
struggle with names. You're not
Yes.
surprised if you're watching
Very
this.
consistent. At least we're consistent.
We are on brand.
Yes. That's our brand. Who the hell is that person? Whatever. But Timmy and Emily, they didn't purchase
Lord,
together. They were confiscated. So that's going back to many people's theory, the alien tangent. That they have these special genetics.
Aliens again.
I know.
You ruined Asylum with aliens.
I know. It didn't make any freaking sense.
Honestly, I had totally forgotten about Timmy. So I'm actually impressed with myself that I remembered his name because I had totally forgotten about them.
I envy you forgot about it because it's been still bothering me. Like, what the hell? How the hell?
By like episode 5, I was just like, girl, bye, I'm done.
Emily who?
Yeah.
Timmy who?
I don't know her.
So let's go back into the real time because that's what's going to happen. The first 15 minutes is going to be the actual apocalypse and the nuclear explosion. No, knowing them, it'll be the first 45 minutes, and the last 15.
But did you watch the previews for? I feel like there was still more backstory in the previews.
Backstory, yes.
So we're not even getting a full episode of
real
what we
time.
know is coming.
It's going to be the last 15 minutes, and everyone across the globe, you're going to hear a scream.
Mostly from my apartment.
Hopefully of joyous glee that it's a
such
good
a
outcome,
satisfying ending.
or they're upset. It's a 50-50. It's like a good game of tennis. One will lose, one will win, and that's going to be the basic bottom line.
Yeah, yes.
It's going to be Langdon or the witches, or the combined efforts of the witches. So let's go over what we do know. We do know that it's going to somehow involve Constance from Murder House, because there is known fact that she has been filming for the last episode. So somehow Constance is going to be in this picture. And I'm going back to Timmy. Back to Timmy again.
Okay.
Remember when he first was brought into the outpost and he was taking this long, steamy, hot shower, and the number 666, and someone warned him, beware, like it was a ghost.
Yes.
So it just makes you wonder that because of the nuclear explosion, if Murder House was destroyed and all the ghosts were released, or if it's just another ghost from the Warlocks, because they're tied to that spot.
Okay, you're giving me more hope here.
So
Murder House Ghost released. I'm liking that potential theory. I'm liking
because
that.
Tate hates him. Constance fears and loves him, but I'm sure Will probably understands by now it's time to put him to an end. So I think it's going to be
the Murder House Ghost saved the world, that'd be incredible.
That would be pretty badass.
That would be incredible. Even if it happens in the last 45 seconds.
We went from 15 minutes to 45 seconds.
I would still be like, all right, yeah.
I don't know. I think so, but it might be a combined effort of the witches and the ghosts, and maybe that's the reason why the crossover and how they work together to put an end to evil. So, misguided evil, which I think is just pretty funny. People forget Langdon is still a young boy.
Right.
He's not a mature man. His body, rapidly grew, but he's still emotionally and mentally a child.
Do we think he did like another age jump again?
But when he got to the long hair, yes.
Yeah, when he went like full Lestat, did we think he
full Lestat?
Did we think he did like another like 10 years in the day?
He might have.
I don't know, that's just like something random I've been
No.
thinking
I
about,
think you're onto
but-
something there. I think he probably did, because you're right. Yes, how did he get from short, shaggy hair Langdon to Lestat Langdon?
Just a thought. I don't know.
So we got that going on. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Right.
But from the previews, we saw that we saw 3 hands come out of the ground, and it's got to be Cordelia, Myrtle, and Madison coming out of the ground, because they did not look like zombie hands. We see that there is a satanic temple presentation where Meade yells at them, "Bow before your king." And I'm like, oh God, please don't, not another Sandra Bernhardt. Please.
She's just so proud. She's just so proud of Michael. That's all it is.
Of course she is. I totally get that. I just don't want Sandra Bernhardt again.
No, we don't need
Bring
that.
back Pepper. Pepper was brilliant.
That was, yeah.
I like Pepper. She's totally all for the Dark Lord.
Right.
She should have been in Harry Potter. She should have been a Slytherin.
She should have. I would be on board for that.
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
Pepper. Oh, it was brilliant. And then so we saw that clip, and then it looks like we're back at the outpost, and Langdon says, "I love a good witch fight," and they show Dinah. So it might be where Cordelia finds out about Dinah's betrayal.
Right. So that one of my big questions for sure is Dinah totally betrayed them, wiped away the protection spell so they could all be slaughtered viciously at their house.
Yes.
But it doesn't seem that the remaining witches know that yet.
Right.
So
which is hence why they revived her.
Do they find out, / how do they find out, and where does she ultimately land? Does she stay with Langdon? Does she feel bad about betraying them and try and flip the script and turn on Langdon at the last,
Who knows?
You
Who
know?
knows? But at the very end, they show his face all bloody, and he goes, "You see, I won," or something. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. I can't wait. I'm a little apprehensive. I'm a little apprehensive that I'm going to be disappointed in that episode. But
Yeah. So the hands, who do we, the three hands, we think that is...
Madison, Cordelia, and Myrtle, because one of them had a fashionable
A
glove on.
So do we think that
they survived.
that
and
one
they're
random
best.
scene where Cordelia gets ripped apart by the zombies, is that...
That was her vision.
Right. Does that tie in to them coming back, do you think? Or was that just something... because they're technically zombies coming back, not zombies in the way we think,
Right,
but so
right.
they're.
I don't know.
Or do you think that's connected or not?
I don't know. There's
Sometimes I
something-
try and connect dots that are
No,
not
but
there.
remember the dots from the beginning, the people that were living outside that were cannibals.
Right.
So I just...
The Top Chef finalists. Never forget.
Yes. Oh, speaking of which, Billy, where the hell is he in that outpost?
Oh
Is he
my
hiding in the
God.
outpost to stab Coco again? Or is he, did he take off? I don't know. If he's trying to survive, that was a place of shelter. I mean, I would think he was probably hiding in the shadows watching what's unfolding.
Yeah, I guess it just, because from what we know, they didn't necessarily have a lot of food and supplies. Now, they definitely could have.
And they were withholding on purpose.
Right. I don't know if he was going to be
control him.
chomping on those cubes too much.
Or maybe threw him in his backpack and took off.
Maybe. He wasn't looking great, but he was surviving.
He was definitely surviving.
I guess we'll see. Yeah.
We got a lot to cover in that last
We do.
episode. I'm a little scared.
As am I.
Yeah, I'm a little
But-
nervous. I'm a little. What's gonna happen? This could go really fantastic, or it could tank. So I don't know.
Regardless, I think it's been a top 3 season, and I don't.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't prove me wrong, but I don't think anything can happen that will change that. I don't think it could just be such a disaster that I'm
No.
going to put it in the middle tier.
No. I think so because this entire season, all but one episode, everything was really kept us engaged.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And even that episode, you could kind of look at it and see how it framed the overall story. It went about it in a very strange way,
Yes.
but it was pushing the narrative forward.
It was part of the arc, the story
So,
arc.
so yeah, I don't think it's going to be totally whatever is done in this last hour. It's not going to totally ruin the past 9 episodes.
No, I don't think so.
But the payoff could be just kind of a meh.
Yeah, could have been worse. Could have been like Roanoke.
Yeah, it's not going to knock down to that level, no matter what happens.
Wasn't
but-
spectacular Lady Gaga came back.
Okay, if she just randomly pops on the screen, then
I know. I think his red gloves was like a homage to Lady Gaga.
For sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Little red, little hotel in Cortez red, flash of red, fashionable red. It was pretty cool. It was like we miss you, Gaga. Not the monster.
She'll come back next season, maybe.
I don't don't know. I think she's done. She's moved
You
on to
think
bigger,
her-
better things
you
with
think
her.
her star is born.
Her
and
star
she's-
has shot out.
She's too good for.
Yeah, she's got
We'll
bigger
see.
things and bigger projects. I'm sure that, unless maybe she'll entertain a cameo, but no, she'll probably 40 years from now, like Jodie Joe Collins, she'll show up in like Murphy Anthology.
God.
Anyways, we're glad that you can join us, and we look forward to seeing you next week for the final episode. So peace out.
Bye.
Bye. That was awesome.